Namaste. The secret of life. Secret, I would say, is something which only a select few are aware of. This is how I think I would define a secret as. And I'm going to tell you something about the secret of life. The secret of life. Something which very, very few of us know or aware or understand. Very few. And that probably is the cause of most of our sufferings today. Most of our sufferings. This secret was revealed to us thousands of years before by the Upanishads in their teachings called as the Vedas. And after that, at a temple in Delphi in Greece, we have it in golden letters inscribed as Know Thyself. Know Thyself. Because according to those sages of the ancient prehistoric years, we may know of everything, but somehow or the other, for some reason or the other, we try to shun knowing our own self. We presume that we know ourselves, we think that we know ourselves, we feel that we know ourselves, but we do not. So they refer to this knowledge as, the Upanishads, as the end of all knowledge, as the knowledge of all knowledge, as the ultimate knowledge. Know thyself. Imagine such a simple thing, and it has remained a secret. The reason for its secrecy being that most of us are not aware of it. We are so involved and engrossed in our material worldly life of our desires and emotions that we forget that besides this name and gender, besides this body and mind, we as human beings are beyond. And that is what the sages tried to signify by saying, that art thou, meaning you are that potential divine. You are that potential divine. It is because of this divine intelligence lying dormant within you that you are the most superior living creatures. Plants and animals are not aware of their body and mind. We are. It is the quantum of what we are. It is the becoming of what we are. From child consciousness, youth consciousness, ego consciousness, we keep evolving. The mind evolves, the body expands, keeps changing. It is not the self, it's the quantity of that self. An expansion, an evolvement. But It is we who can understand this expansion through the object of science, the subject being the life. It is we who understand our mind. We can observe our mind, see our mind, feel our mind, look into our mind, perceive our mind as well as the thoughts. And that is the reason why we say, my mind, my hand, my legs, my eyes. It's your me and mine. But then, deep within you, you contradict. On one hand, you say, consider, claim and confirm that it's yours. It's an instrument. Mind is an instrument for you to use. But you feel your mind. In fact, you're convinced your mind in ignorance, not realizing that potentiality. And that is the reason why 98% of this universe are blind followers. Like the scientists today, neuroscientists are claiming, over 98% of the mind is mechanical, working subconsciously in an unconscious manner, on auto mode, from its memory and past knowledge. That is the intellect, not its intelligence. Intelligence is spontaneous. Intelligence is immediate. Intelligence is that intensity of its uniqueness which activates your mind to make it aware. That's intelligence. That is the divine within you. Lying dormant, and we are not aware of it. So, in this ignorance, we go on a roller coaster ride by the dual operating mind. Dual operating meaning the mind cannot function without duality relating to its opposite. Heat to cold, positive to negative, divine to devil, etc., etc., truth to lie, happiness to sadness. There is no end to its duality. It has to go into duality to choose. Human beings have been gifted with this power of choice, the power of discrimination, which is phenomenal for the material mind, but for the spiritual mind it creates conflicts. Why? Because your choice is not managed properly. It is tilted towards the worldly life, towards your incessant wants, towards your emotions of me and mine and selfishness. In selfishness. So the scriptures said, that art thou. You are not that. You are that divine intelligence. The true self is that soul in which the divine intelligence resides. In the form of the spirit, in the form of metaphysics. Science as of today was concerned only with the classical physics, on the objective physics. But gradually, say around 50 years back, they realized that besides matter, there's consciousness. And what emerged was quantum mechanics, quantum physics. How they realized was when they went deeper into the subatomic particles of atoms, protons, neutrons, below the molecules into quarks, etc., they observed all that exists is energy. All that the Upanishad said was Advait. Advait meaning all that exists is one and not two. All that exists is Brahman. So, they realized and were inspired by the Upanishad by declaring that all that exists is energy. Because eventually they saw the dual characteristic of energy interchanging from particles to waves and waves to particles under observation. So eventually we are nothing but waves of electromagnetic waves of energy. The ability through which on its own it remains nothing. in this nothingness, which consumes 96% of dark energy on its own. But it has the ability to form matter and consciousness, which consumes probably around 4 to 5%. Matter and consciousness, in which all the planets, everything that exists in this universe, which we can observe and measure in space and time. Waves of energy are spaceless, timeless, eternal, infinite, limitless. Limitless. In this shunyata, in this nothingness. But matter is restricted to space and time. And so is consciousness. Because consciousness is individualized. It is restricted within the space of your brain and the mind and the body. And it can become conscious only after it is aware. Aware is prior. Awareness is primordial. So this awareness is that intelligence, which the sages referred to as that art thou, from which all conceptualizations arose. Every single concept, whether it is of God, whether it is of devil, whether it is of the universe, all the names that we have given to every single concept, whether it is the name of awareness that we have given, whether it is the name of Brahman or intelligence that is given, it is through that aware intelligence, energy and spontaneity that we realize that this is also something. So the body and mind is in its becomingness of something which is temporary. The eternal is awareness as to who you are, which is responsible to make the mind aware and conscious. And it is through this awareness that universe exists. It's not for the plant and animals. They are also aware, but their awareness is, the frequency of their awareness is vibrating at a very slow frequency, lower frequency. Ours is the highest. Our highest in the form of thoughts. That is why the mind is phenomenal. It has the power to extract from its awareness all the information which technology and your digitalization and everything is extracting after the mind becomes aware. So it may overpower the mind in its intellect, but as far as its intelligence is concerned, that is metaphysics. That is metaphysics. All super computers, one day or the other, and even today, would require the conscious, aware conscious human mind to operate. And the 4 commandments given by the Upanishads were, the first one is, divine intelligence is Brahman. The second is, the soul is Brahman, in which the divine intelligence resides, in sure observation, being the witnesser, being the sakshi. And then we have the subtle energy as the psychic energy. That art thou. The second is, the true self is Atman, in the body and not the thinking and the mental self. And the third is, that art thou. And the fourth is, I am aware conscious energy. So, in this manner, the 4 commandments were laid down. And in spite of that, in spite of being told, it's not been carried forward, this knowledge. It's become dead. This knowledge clearly signifies that there is no human God. There is no human God. It is just that supreme divine intelligent energy. which is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, interconnected, interrelated, interdependent to all, everything, because awareness on its own is nothing. It needs to be excited by the human mind to make the mind aware. So awareness is in a way connected to the mind. And in unity and continuity, not in separation, present everywhere, not in human gods. God cannot be restricted to a human being, to a proper noun, in a name and gender. God is an experience. For the mind to apply in duality, to experience life, to experience the divinity and the devil, we have been given a choice. The human beings has been given a choice which animals don't have, which plants don't have. They don't have this choice, but they do have the awareness to a limited extent. We have the choice of duality. How we handle that choice is the art of life, is the other secret of life. The first secret of life is in self-knowledge. From self-knowledge arises self-awakening. From self-awakening, you go down to self-experiencing, that is its application. And after that is self-realization. In the end, forming a circle. It starts from one, self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-awakening, self-experience, self-realization, back to zero. So energy moves in a circle. Shunya is a circle, zero. Everything which begins has to have an ending or a new beginning to restart again. It's a cycle, whether it's the planets, whether it's the seasons, everything, every sort of, whether it's a whirlpool, whether it's a cyclone, every energy moves in a circle. And also it moves in entropy, in a disorder, like thoughts do, moving randomly, recklessly, here and there. So in order to gain freedom from the mind, the Vedas gave us 4 requisites. They called it Purusharthas. 4 requisites. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. In righteousness, attain economic prosperity. Satisfy all your passionate desires. The 3rd, Kama. And the 4th, in the end, become content to become free from your mind. It's called liberation, moksha, liberation from the mind, and gain freedom from the mind where you are not attached to any of your emotions or desires. Desires and emotions are not bad. Desire is a fuel of the mind. Without desire, you have no desire to live, no desire to eat, no desire to sleep, no desire to do anything. Desire is the fuel of the mind. Desire, you need not be desireless, but you should not be attached to that desire. Attachment is the problem. Attachment is clinging on to your accumulations, to your emotions, which causes the problem. So once you become aware of that, you get liberated. You become free. It is called awakening of the soul. And the awakening of the soul is through what? Through the spirit. Metaphysics. Quantum physics, science is desperate now to know it, because science has eventually realized it is destructing this planet Earth more than constructing. All this digitalization is going more into destruction and less into creativity. Creativity is more going into comforts, into speed. But it is evident that planet Earth in this generation is in danger. There is more of anxiety now than earlier. In the yesteryears, there is no more anxiety, more depression, more loneliness. We are damaging ourselves and the earth and the mother nature, from deforestation to ecological disasters to what not. So, since we are so imbalanced, fully tilted into the material worldly wants, the Vedas gave us 3 stages of the human mind, of the human knowledge, of this divine intelligence. The lowest knowledge was referred to as apara vidya. Vidya is knowledge, apara is below. That is the material knowledge, the worldly knowledge. The second is par vidya, beyond knowledge, transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge, metaphysical knowledge. And the third is Brahm Vidya, the knowledge of nothingness, shunyata, the knowledge of the self. The self is the supreme ability of energy, a characteristic of which who you are, in order to make your mind aware and conscious. For it to experience life, it is that divine which you need to experience, not to blindly follow this religion or that religion, or get converted from this one to that one just because of some choice, selfish choice of yours which makes you do so. Either to save yourself or to make yourself richer. All sorts of things, wrong things are being done in the name of religion today. Maximum deaths are because of religion. Killings, terrorism, all these things are because of religion. How badly we are misusing the beautiful religion, which all of them have only one message, and that is of divinity, that is of godliness, that is of application, how to apply the divine intelligence, because application is most important, self-experiencing. Through its application comes out spirituality, humanity, divinity, the ITY. From the subject of spiritualism comes out spirituality, how to become spiritual. How in humanness, in humility you become humane to become human. That is what it tries to convey. You have that divine intelligence, but its application is wrong. No meditation has been able to help us. That's a form of application. To quiet your mind, to make it silent, so that you are in meditative awareness from one moment to the next. We are not doing that. We are just practicing transcendental meditation for 15-20 minutes to give us therapeutic advantages, relax our body and mind, increase our blood pressure, increase our enzyme called telomerase and things like that. But we are not utilizing meditation in the right manner. Neither we are utilizing the prayers, the chanting, the mantras, the japa, the tai chi, the zen, the vipassana, all the application processes which have been given to us by our dear sages of yesteryears. Now the preachers and gurus, they increase their followers from thousands to millions. Their institutions keep on increasing. But how many of us Besides being blind followers, can we truly say that we have become transformed through our evolvement into divinity? Very few. Can't even count. I can't even count one. I don't know how many of you would say in today's world, because all the gurus and preachers that I see, what they seek is fame and name and fame. Everybody is seeking name and fame. I keep speaking on YouTube. I may be having over 75, 76 video clippings as of now. Nobody wants to listen to me. You can see I hardly have 50 views, 60 views, 70 views, no comments, no subscribers, indicating nobody wants to know the true self. Nobody wants to know what is the role of the true self. That is the soul, and nobody wants to know who you are in its ultimate reality. They are only concerned with the relative reality, which constantly changes. They are only concerned with the relative truth, which differs from one to another. They are not concerned with the ultimate truth, the existential truth as it is in the now. They are not concerned with the reality, the ultimate reality, which is changeless, which is one without a second, like the sky. They are only concerned with the reality which is frivolous. And that is why most of us are suffering. And that is why the foundation of science says 80% of the mind is negative. 80% of the mind is negative. And 98% of the mind, or over 98, or a little lesser than 98, whatever it is unconscious, working subconsciously, multitasking into making us followers, blind followers of what we hear, what we read, what we gather, without questioning, without doubting, without reasoning, without self-experiencing. We just want to gossip that we are spiritual, but we do not know what metaphysics is really all about. It revolves around one word, and that is self-knowledge. That art thou. So, irrespective of whatever message, I try my best to give the society back for all that it has given to me. My prayer to you is, please constantly observe and watch your own thoughts, your own mind. Be true to it, and the moment it sways to the wrong side, balance it. I'm not saying materialism is not required. It's a must. That's what we have been born into this world for duality between the material and the spiritual. We are supposed to balance. We are not supposed to tilt totally towards one side, which we are today, tilted towards the materialism side. For our wants, for our desires, for our emotions, for our likes and dislikes, clinging to it, thinking that it is eternal, which it is not. Because if there is happiness, the shadow of sadness is lurking behind, and you're bound to get it. But if you're constantly watching every thought of yours, you will decrease sadness. You will become alert. You will become aware. You will become conscious. You will become attentive. And you will concentrate. You will introspect. You will experience and realize in a higher consciousness. Thank you for listening to me. Namaste.